Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be continuing our read through of this book, History of the World, Map by Map. And if you are new to this series or my channel, welcome. The whole gimmick of this video series is that I go into these maps blind. I have not read them in advance. I've only looked at the title so that I can make a theme. And we'll explore them together. So let's dive right in. As you see by the title, we're going to be talking about China and Japan through interesting periods of its history. We are going to talk about the decline of Qing China. And I'm most likely going to mispronounce things on this page, so my apologies. Again, I don't know until I read it. Something like if it's a word I've never seen before and have no idea how to pronounce it, I would look it up in advance so I sound smarter on my channel. But I don't know because I haven't read any of this, so let's read it together, starting with the outbreak of the Taiping Rebellion. And that was 1844 to 1853. Hong Zhuquan was a quasi-Christian visionary around whom a cult grew in Guangxi province in the 1840s. In 1851, Hong proclaimed a new dynasty, the Taiping Tiangguo, or Heavenly Kingdom of Great Peace, and assumed the title of Tianwang, or Heavenly King. Shrugging off imperial assaults, his rebellion gathered strength and made Nanjing its capital. We can see his march to Nanjing by this white arrow. That's very easy to find on this map. I've never heard of this event. How interesting. So we are going, let me see, it's hard to see all this. Jintian. From Jintian. I'm going up, around, this way. All the way to Nanjing. That's a long march. My goodness. So let's read about the Taiping Empire. From 1853 to 1860. I've never heard of this. I'm so fascinated. The Taiping Empire presented a challenge to the Qing, but infighting and failed military expeditions checked its momentum. In 1856, feuding between the Taiping's top military leaders saw two of them murdered and a third flee with many men. An 1860 attempt to take Shanghai was stopped by the ever-victorious army, Western-trained and led troops fighting for the Qing. So this orange are the areas controlled by the rebels around 1861. And the arrows are their unsuccessful northern campaign. So goodness, that was quite a bit of land that they got. All of this here. How interesting. That's not a tiny piece of land. It's a good chunk of it. And it looks like they had it up, and were unsuccessful. And I'm sure one of these boxes will talk about that more in detail. Let's read about the fall of the Taiping. From 1861 to 1864. With the capture of Anqing in October 1861 by the Hunan Army, which was a local militia force fighting for the Qing, the revolutionary cause was doomed. In 1862, Imperial General Zhang Guofan surrounded Nanjing, and in July 1864, the city fell, ending the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, including those lost through famine. The greatest civil war in history had cost 25 to 30 million lives. Wow. So that advance is this way, and the Qing advance is going here and for here to take down this little empire. Goodness. Here's one I have heard of. It is the Boxer Rebellion from 1899 to 1901. Let me move this cord. I hope you can't hear this cord rustling around. Economic woes, natural disasters, and growing anti-foreign sentiment sparked an uprising called the Militia in Righteousness, known as the Boxers in English. The Boxers killed foreigners and destroyed foreign property. The Qing supported the anti-foreign crusade, but some regional warlords cooperated with foreign powers to crush the uprising, which was ended when an 8-nation military alliance occupied Beijing. So the area of the uprising is in yellow here. We can see that it is this whole area here, which is bigger than I thought it was, to be honest. My goodness. I'd always known it was like, like a coastal area near Beijing, but I didn't realize it was all this. We're going to get to Beijing on my channel in a couple weeks. Look forward to that. I'm sure we'll talk about the Taiping Rebellion then. Then we have the Xinhai Revolution from 1911 to 1912. In 1908, the Dowager Empress Cixi died, leaving the infant Puyi as emperor. Reformist and revolutionary movements then sought to harness domestic discontent. In 1911, the discovery of an anti-imperialist plot in Wuchang triggered open revolt, leading to the formation of a republican government under the revolutionary leader Sun Yat-sen, or known in the West as Sun Yat-sen, in Nanjing, and the end of imperial rule. So areas of revolution popped up are shown by these fists here. We can see just all over China, like all over the place. So many. Wow. Yeah, pretty impressive. And then there's little Puyi over here, which I mentioned in the last video we did that there's a great movie called The Last Emperor about Emperor Puyi and this event. I recommend it. It's a little dated. It was made in the 80s and it kind of shows, but I think it's still a great movie. So let's read all the little boxes here. Let's start at the top. And yeah, we're going to probably go out of order because I haven't read this in advance and I don't know where to start. Because this says 1901, so definitely probably going in reverse. September 1901, international forces defeat the Boxers in Beijing. China agrees to pay swinging reparations. Swinging? What does that say? I have never seen this word in my life. See, what is this? Is this a typo? Swinjing? What is that? Someone tell me what that word means. Well, they're paying reparations, but U.S. determination to protect its trade interests prevent other Western powers from partitioning China. May 1853, the Taiping send an expedition to northern China. It reaches the neighborhood of Tianjin, but finally collapses in early 1855. That's that invasion going up there. We have... this book is so heavy. July 1864. The Taipings are finally defeated by Qing troops under German General Zhang Guofan. Hong, the Taiping's leader, has committed suicide in June. And in December 1911, a provisional republican government is set up in Nanjing with Sun Yat-sen or Sun Yat-sen as premier. What else is over here? 1860. An attempt by the Taipings to regain strength by taking Shanghai stopped by the Western-trained, ever-victorious army commanded by the American adventurer Frederick Townsend Ward. Never heard of him either. Interesting stories on this map. I'm going to have to Google some stuff. I've never heard of a lot of these things. October 1911, an anti-imperialist plot is uncovered among army officers in Wuchang, triggering them into an open revolt that quickly spreads, marking the start of the Xinhai Revolution. There. The revolt. And you can see all the dates on these revolution activities, I guess, all very close together. We've got March 1912. I guess that was like the last one. But this is all October, November, December. Just all at once falling apart. As it goes, I suppose. October 1861, Anqing, the capital of Anhui, is captured by the Hunan army, severely damaging the Taiping Revolutionary cause. I've done a video on Anhui already. Really beautiful region. If I remember, I'll link it up here on my video for you to check out. It's like the only region in China I've managed to cover because we're going in alphabetical order. But like I said, Beijing's coming, so there'll be more China. I can't wait. September 1851, the Taiping rebels establish a base in Yongan, where they are besieged by the Imperial Army and emerge victorious. Right there, 1851. How interesting. I learned so much on this map. Did you guys learn anything on this map? Because I sure did. Now we're going to head up north to Imperial Japan. I know way more about Japanese history than Chinese history. We're going to talk about the Meiji Reformation, I assume. It's called Japan Transformed, so it's got to be Meiji Restoration. Let's learn about it. It says modernization of the Army and Navy. Oh, we're already getting into it. 1868 to 1890. The Meiji government's determination to modernize the military cut across the privileges of Japan's warrior class, the samurai. In 1869, their fleets were subsumed by the new Imperial Japanese Navy, and in 1873, their exclusive right to bear arms was broken by the introduction of conscription. Many samurai became officers in the new regime, where their discipline helped to create the most powerful military force in Asia by the 1890s. Then we have the Boshin War. Civil war broke out between imperial forces and troops loyal to the ex-shogun Tokugawa Yoshinobu, when Yoshinobu was stripped of all titles and land. The imperial troops won the war's first battle at Fushimi on January 27, 1868. They then moved east to secure Edo's surrender before heading north to Hokkaido to defeat the remaining government supporters at Hakodate in June 1869. So the route of the army is in this pink arrow, battles are pink swords, and the Imperial Alliance is also pink. So let's look on the map and see where those are. It's all in the south here. Down here, along here, and very south of Honshu as well. And you can see these arrows going up, up, up the island, attacking as they go. Down there, and that's Fushimi, right? They're talking about it's Kyoto, going up this coast, going up this coast. Down, just checking Chiba there, making sure everything's good in Yokohama. There's Edo. They head over to Edo, which is the capital. Up along the, I guess they went swimming into inland. They made a detour back there after Akita, which I've also done a video on. Let me link Akita up there too. And then all the way up into Hokkaido near Hakodate. And there's a big battle there, 1869. I gotta make a note. Hold on, let me remember what I need to link on this post-it note. I need to do, what was it, Anhui and Akita. There we go. Okay. So usually I'd cut that out. If you notice there was a cut earlier, that's because I knocked over a book. There's a little shelf under my feet, or by my feet, and I kicked something. So I cut that. But, yeah. Normally I don't cut anything in this series. But I'll cut loud noises, of course. It is ASMR after all. Industrialization, 1871 to 1918. The abolition of feudalism in Japan freed millions of people to choose their occupation and move around the country. The government encouraged industrialization, building railway and shipping lines and telegraph and telephone systems, as well as opening mines, shipyards, and munitions, glass, textile, and chemical factories. Many of these were privatized when a European-style banking system was introduced in 1882, leaving the government free to invest in education and the armed forces. So let's see, modernization under the Meiji. We've got this green here are the main industrial areas by 1918. You can see the railways there. traditional industries like ceramics, textiles, and silk, and then modern ones after 1868, manufacturing, machine building, shipbuilding, and chemicals. So let's see what we can find. Main industrial centers. So we've got one here. There's Fukuoka. And we've got lots of industry there. The industries here by Kyoto and Kobe. We've got their shipbuilding. You can see some traditional stuff there too, of course. We're near Nara. But lots of, like, all the industries there as well. Over here in Nagoya, we've got still some traditional stuff. And over here in the capital, in Yokohama, we've got some traditional textiles, but lots of industry down here. There's the shipbuilding and all kinds here, of course, in Edo, which is now called Tokyo. Urban growth, 1871 to 1918. By 1871, all of Japan's ancient feudal domains, loyal to the local lord, had been reorganized into prefectures, each with a chief executive answerable to the central government. Initially, Japan's urban prefectures like Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto lost population as people adjusted to the new regime and migrated to other areas. However, by 1883, the work offered through industrialization was driving population growth in the urban prefectures and in emerging cities such as Kobe, Yokohama, Nagasaki, and Hiroshima. So, yellow diamonds are cities that were over 500,000 people in 1918. Squares are over 100,000. And then the circles are just other little cities. So let's find some squares and diamonds here. We've got, starting in the south again, Nagasaki, Kumamoto, Sasebo, Fukuoka, Yamada. Some other cities there like Meiji. Got Kyoto, Osaka, Kobe. Of course, Edo, Yokohama. Other cities. Let's find Fukushima Square. Is that square? No, Aomori is a circle. Hakodate is a diamond. There's Hakodate. Is it all of them? Am I flexing on my Japanese? Yes. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, I've been doing Duolingo Japanese for the past year. I unfortunately think I'm going to quit. Every time I've tried to sit down and study Japanese, which is more times than you can imagine, this is at least my 4th attempt, I get really good, and then I find something that just blocks me. And I'm like, this is way too hard. I am so out of my league right now. And usually it's to do with verb conjugation. The first time when I was a teenager was verb conjugation, just destroyed me. Next time was sentence structure. And this time it was the numbering system. You guys, in Japanese, if you say, like, if you go to the store and you say, I want 3 pencils, I want 3 pieces of paper, I want 3 donuts, like, each word for 3 is different, because depending on what you're counting, there's a different word structure. And like, I kind of get it, because like in English, you know, we have the word one for one thing. Let's say three, you know, there's third. We have the word third to mean something is in order and it is the third one. So I get that, like, we have 2 different numbers. In French too, I know French has troisième instead of trois. But like, I'm rambling now. You know how there's one and first? Like, those are 2 different words. Japanese, like, a lot of them don't sound anything like the number. Like how first doesn't sound like one, how doesn't sound like premier, right? And they're just, once I got to my 5th number system, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't memorize all these. And I got really frustrated. So I think it's time to take a break from my Japanese again. But I got really good. I'm really good at sentence structure. I'm really good at verb conjugation. And I got really good at kanji. I learned a ton of kanji this time, but the number system is just, anyway, let's finish these maps. I am done rambling. Let's learn about the Satsuma Rebellion in 1877. I hope that made sense also. How like number systems are different from the numbers, you know? Like one, I think one and first is the best example. Anyway, Satsuma Rebellion. Some samurai felt that the spirit of Japan was being destroyed by rapid reforms, which it was. In February 1877, Saigo Takamori, a key figure in the restoration who disliked the changes that were being pressed on the emperor, marched from his base in Satsuma, which is now part of Kagoshima Prefecture, with an army of samurai. They were heading for Tokyo, but their advance was blocked by the imperial army at Kumamoto. Forced back to Kagoshima, the rebels were finally defeated in September. That battle shown by blue swords. Let's find it down here in Kumamoto. All right, so that is the Meiji Restoration. Basically, a very rapid change from samurai feudal era to modernization, like extreme modern times, ancient to modern, in like a span of like 10 years. It was very rapid, very sudden, and the economy just blossomed. That's the Meiji Reformation. Let's see, September 1877, it says, the last stand of the Satsuma rebels in Kagoshima ends in Saigo's suicide, of course. You had to do seppuku. February 1877, Satsuma forces are blocked at Kumamoto and pushed back to Kagoshima. They're at the battle. Here in Kyoto, January 1868, Meiji Restoration begins at the Imperial Court in Kyoto. 1868, the port of Yokohama is developed for the export of silk predominantly to Britain. And 1871, Japan's first domestically produced warship, Seiki, is completed at Yokosuka shipyards there. January 1868, the city of Edo is renamed Tokyo. What's up here in Akita, 1871? Akita is one of the prefectures, the divisions of the new centralized state created with the feudal domains are abolished. That's so random. It's just, here's an example. Here's Akita. Like, okay. And then from October 1868 to May 1869, it says Hakodate is besieged by imperial forces in the final stage of the Boshin War. With that battle there. And yeah, that's the Meiji Restoration. I love the art during this time, you see here. When I have my Google Dot on my TV playing a slideshow and I pick the art category, there's this one incredible drawing in this like very traditional Japanese style, you know, but they're at a train station and it's just so beautiful to see this ancient art with like super modern things in it, you know. I love that picture. It's very Meiji restoration coded. But that's going to be it for tonight. I know it's not a lot of maps. Usually I try to do 3, but the next map's about the American Civil War, and that doesn't tie in at all. So that will be the next video, and I will have that for you. Let me see my calendar. It's behind me. Oop. I will have that for you next week. So look for that. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. Like I said, we're continuing this book. I'm going to read it a couple more times throughout November and December for you guys. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. And I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. Don't forget to like, leave a comment down there. And I hope that you have a good night. Good night.